Okay, so I will continue from where Pasi has stopped his presentation, and I'm going to talk about web-page clustering. So before I start, I just would like to tell you that this topic actually very extensive, and these coming slides are not covering everything, but I'm just trying to put things clear, the more general things. So web-page clustering basically is putting together those pages that are very similar in the content to each other. So in this example, for example, I have the entertainment class and I have fitness. So here we are grouping together the sport web pages, and then the other one is grouping the entertainment. So why actually we need to cluster web pages? There are different applications that are using this web page clustering. One example is the search engine. So for example, when I try to find something similar to my search query, I search for similarity, for example, and then I found that this website is relevant and I need the more similar web pages to this website. Then I just go here and then I take the similar ones, and those basically are coming from clusters. Another one, if I want related web pages, so I put related and then I give the link of the website that I'm interested in, and then I get all those relevant web pages. Again, they are coming from clusters. Another application is categorization of web pages, and this one, the DMOS, is the largest repository here on the web search, and it's also used by Google. So if you can see here, it's a hierarchy: computer, and then goes to programming, and then we have all these topics. And when you open, for example, the education, you get all these clusters of web pages about education. Another example, if I is about query similarity. So for example, usually the users, when they are searching for something, they are putting different queries, but these queries can be similar. So if I put, for example, Raventola, and Raventola is pointing to this cluster, but it's found only in this web page, and then another user comes and put Lonas, and Lonas is pointing to this page. So since those pages are in the same cluster, I can conclude that these two queries are similar, but without depending on any external language. So in this case, I'm not using any semantic similarity, but just depending on the cluster. Now, how to cluster? So I know cluster is important, but how to cluster the web pages? In the case of clustering web pages, there are actually three important components. So the first component is web page features. So what I'm going to use in the web pages, am I going to use the links? Am I going to use the words of the web pages, which is the text, or phrases? The next one, what similarity measure I'm going to use? Semantic similarity, syntactic similarity, and then what clustering algorithms? Partitional, hierarchical, or graph-based? So I must say that these two components are highly dependent on the first one. Based on the features that I'm going to extract from the web page, I will decide what is similarity measures and what clustering algorithms I'm going to use. Therefore, methods for clustering web pages actually can be divided into two main classes depending on the features of the web pages. So we have two broad approaches. The first one is link-based, which depends on the link structure between the web pages, how the web pages are linked to each other. And then from this one, we have this common neighbor and co-citation. I will talk about them later. And then we have text-based. Those that just care about the text of the web page. So what is inside the web page? And then the hyper-based one is a combination of the two. So they are using the link structure, and they are using the text of the web page. So link-based structure. So the link-based structure actually, because we are in the web page, we are looking at the web pages all the web pages are linked to each other. And here we are not concerned about what is the text of the web pages. So even maybe they are from different languages, but they are still linked to each other. So here, for example, what if I have those web pages, and then I would say web page A can be similar to web page B because they are sharing C and D. So they have common neighbors together. So it means that they can have some similarity between them. The next one is called co-citation. What does it mean? Now, I have two web pages, A and B, and both of them are referenced by C, D, and E. So it means that since they are referenced by three web pages and like one web pages are referenced both of them, so it means that they have some kind of relation between them, some semantic similarity. In co-citation also, there is another approach saying that, for example, if G is pointing C and D, then C and D have some similarity. And since C is pointing A and D is pointing B, then A and B also have some kind of similarity, depending on those being similar and depending on those are both cited by this web page. So I will give one example. It's an old paper, but actually I would say this is the most clear one. So if I have a collection of web pages, like it's my corpus, and then I will construct a matrix called co-citation matrix. Later I will convert this to a correlation matrix, and then I will either cluster or use multidimensional scaling technique. I will show this by example. Now, assuming this is my collection, so I have 6 web pages. So the first thing that I want to do is to take pair of web pages, assuming that I will take page 1, the URL of page 1, and the URL of page 2. And then I will give a query. I will search for all web pages that citing both page 1 and page 2. In the same way, I will search for all web pages that are pointing to both P1 and P3 and so on. So I will do all this and I will build my co-citation matrix. So what does this number mean? It means that there are 431 web pages that citing both P1 and P2. And in the same way, all other numbers here. After I created this co-citation matrix, I will convert it to correlation. So I want to see the relation between these web pages. So now, like I said, we have 6 web pages, and I want to see how page 1 is similar to page 2 with reference to all other web pages in the corpus. So I will see that, for example, P3 it has low citation for page 1, and at the same time it has low citation for page 2. And P4 it has high citation for page 1, and the same thing happens for page 2. So what does this mean? That when there is a web page citing P1 and P2 high, and there is another web page when citing P1 low, it also cites P2 low. So that's why they are correlated high. The other way around, it happens here. So for example, page 1 citing P3 very low, but it cites P4 very high. And here we can see the other way around. Page 5 is citing P4 low, but it cites P3 high. So that's why they are correlated low. And based on this correlation value, we built this matrix. So we can see now the relation between, for example, page 1 and page 2. They have very high relation, so that means that they are very similar to each other. But here, like, for example, P4 and P3, they are very low. They have very low similarity to each other. And based on this correlation matrix, we cluster the web pages. Like Pasi was saying that this is hierarchical clustering. So at the beginning, we have every web page by its own cluster. And then based on the matrix, we will start to cluster every two pair at one step until we are satisfied with our threshold. Okay, so the good things with web page, with this link-based clustering, it doesn't care if the web page has a text or not. So because it just depends on the link structure. But it has also problems. For example, if there is two web pages, they are very similar to each other, but they are not linked together. So this method cannot find it. Another thing that two web pages can be linked to each other, but they just share minor topic or a side topic. And then also there is those web pages that just have links to the web pages, so they are like floating links to other web pages, but they are nothing. So if there is two web pages that are very similar to each other, but they are not linked together, the similarity based on the link-based clustering is 0. The next approach is using text-based clustering. And in this case, we are not now care about the link structure, but we are just care about the content of the web pages. What is the text? Are they similar in the text, in their text or not? And these basically the main things that we should think about. From where we are going to extract the text, what features we are going to extract, and then similarity measures and clustering algorithm. So assuming that I have this web page, now what text I'm going to extract? Am I going to take all the text? Just the main content? Or I will take the snippet, and this is what is returned. Basically, people are taking what is returned by Google. Or the keywords. So I won't care about the entire text or the main content, but I will just take the keywords of the web page. Having I decided what content I'm going to take, the next step is to process the text. So assuming that this is my text, this is the entire text. So the first step, I will tokenize. So I will divide by the white space, and I will get these words. And then after that, I will stem. So stemming means that I will remove all additional letters from the word. So I will return it to the base form. This is called, so basically, the suffix. So for example, here running, it will remove all this, and then if run. And the same thing for smooth and the office. And if you observe that, okay, so actually office is one word, and then E should be a part of the office, but the stemming remove it, because it will just put this one, this one is changing, and other inflectional, so that's why only this part is fixed. So that's why we are keeping it. After that, we will remove all stop words. So stop words is just those words that have a grammatical role in the web page. So they don't have any meaning. Like for example, in, on, you, with, yesterday, for example. All these, they don't have any like strong relation with the web pages, but they exist for a grammatical thing. So we are left with these words. After that, assuming that I have like 2 web pages in the collection, and now I want to represent them. So I will want to represent the text. So the first thing I will do is to make the bag of words. All distinct words are from the 2 pages. So I will have this list. And then I will generate binary vectors, or term frequency vectors, or CF-IDF. So if binary vectors means that does the word appear in the page or not. So for example, like P1 and P2. The second option is to count the frequency of the word in a document. So for example, in page 2, I have a start here and a start here. So that's why it's here 2. Third option is to use term frequency inverse document frequency. So the binary actually doesn't care how many times the word appears in the document. And then the frequency, it counts the frequency of the words in the document, but again, there are some words that are not important. And they are just exist for a grammatical thing, and that's why they are high frequency, but they are not important. So what we are using here, term frequency inverse document frequency, actually it gives more weights to the unique words in a document. So if one word appears in this document and in all other documents, it gives very low weight. But if there is one word that appears in one document and very low in other documents, it gives high weight. So this is a distinction words. And then after that, we are using these similarity measures. And like Parsi said, there is character-based measures who treat the string as one unit. So if I have a document, then it means that all the documents will be, all the text of the document will be considered as one string. And I argue this is not good for long text, because usually the documents or the web pages are written in different ways, but they are very similar. The second one is qgrams, which divides the string into like 2 grams or 3 grams. So in this example, for example, machine learning is divided into 3 grams. Or token-based measures, which are dividing the documents into words, and then it compares. So the web page similarity is using token-based measure, like I said, because sometimes, for example, if I have like Rosso restaurant and restaurant Rosso, they are very similar, but they are in different order. So if we use character-based measures, it wouldn't find it out. But if we use token-based measure, then it will find them match. Very popular measures that have been used in measuring the similarities between web pages, Euclidean cosine. So in our example, if I took, like, for example, these frequency vectors, and I count the cosine similarity between them, then it gives 0.2. We have some preliminary results from one of our research papers, and we can see on, of course, this is very short text, but we can see that the token-based measure actually are working good for the text similarity. After we decide the similarity measures, we are using clustering algorithms, and very popular ones, k-means and hierarchical clustering, the agglomerative one. So we have a collection of web pages, and then we start to select like random documents as the initial centroids. And then the rest of the web pages we are just assigning based on the nearest one. And then we recalculate the centroids, and then until we converge. So this is one way. The other way is hierarchical clustering. So again, we start with having every web pages as its own cluster, and then we start merging based on the similarity of the web pages until the level has reached. Okay, this one is also good, but now the question is, what if the web page doesn't have any useful text? How to cluster it? So it doesn't have, so either it has like text and it lacks links, or the other way around. So what to do? There is a third approach that combines both of them. So it uses the text of the web page and it uses the link structure. So again, I will just demonstrate a simple example, assuming that this is my web and this is my collection. So I want to measure the similarity between these web pages inside the queue. So what I will use here, 3 components. The first one is the word frequency. So this is, the first one is basically, as we explained, it's the text of the web pages, and it's just the frequency of the word in the web page. This is the first vector. The next one is depending on the outlink. Outlink, it means that this link is outlink. It's out from A, And then in links, for example, this one, it's into G. So we will use these informations to cluster the web pages. So the first one we have talked about it. I will talk now about outlink. So what is my now? The first vector is a bag of words. The second vector is a bag of nodes. But what nodes? So in this example, the web pages that are pointed to by at least 2 pages in queue. What does it mean? So I have G, page G, and it's pointed by both E and H. So I will consider this node in my bag. Then I have page I, and it's pointed by itself, and then from page H. I will also consider it. And then the same thing is with page G, because it's pointed by itself, and then from K. And then M, although it's outside my collection, but it's pointed by I and G. And based on this information, I will build my matrix. So for example, page G and page E, they are connected, and then G and H connected, and so on. And this is my vector. So this is the vector information. So for each web page. The third vector information is the other way around. So it's basically pages that point to at least 2 pages in a queue. So for example, I have page E, and it's pointed to itself, and it's pointed to G. So it's the other way around. The same thing here with page H. So because H is pointing to both I and G, and then K, because it points to itself and to J, and then C, because it points to H and J. And in the same way, I will build the matrix, this connection matrix, and then I will have 3 vectors. Having this information, I will have the final similarity between page, for example, E and G, which is the cosine similarity between every 2 similar vectors. So for example, I will take the similarity between the word vectors, between the in-link vectors, and the out vectors. And then there is this weighted values, which are sum up to 1. So basically, if these are all 0, then I will end up with the cosine similarity between every 2 vector components of the similarity measures. And finally, I will cluster the web pages. And that's all. Thank you.
How do you fetch the text data from the website? I mean, fetching all the text is easy, but if you want some certain snippets, how do you select the main text?
So basically, there is ready-made APIs, for example, Boilerpipe, so you can use it. And Boilerpipe, for example, you can use whatever you want entire text. You want only the main content, or you want to remove, for example, certain type of links and the buttons and so on. So this is one way. Another way that you, for example, select specific nodes, only the graphs, only the lists, only the headers, and that's all. And then you remove all the others.
Okay, and that works quite well.
Boilerpipe works, but unfortunately it works when you have similar format web pages. So for example, all news web pages. It works and it's very well, and it's used a lot in research. For us, for example, when we work on keyword extraction, we just eliminate lists, and then we consider all other as main content. Yes. Other question?